Okay, so the lighting in here is crap right now. Sorry about that. Bad time of day. I'm freezing. I don't know why I'm so cold. It's actually not cold in here. I feel like I might actually be coming down with a cold. So that sucks. I haven't had a cold in 3 years. I'd really like not to have another one. But anyway, welcome to Stitch and Witch. I'm gonna do something a little bit different today. I had an idea, and in true ADHD fashion, I cannot do anything else until I put my idea into action. So, I've got my giant bin of yarn here. Whoop. Let's just angle that down a little bit. Okay, so this is my giant bin of yarn. This is primarily yarn that's been gifted to me, which means a lot of this is acrylic. And you know those temperature blankets? I saw on a Facebook group this morning somebody doing a reading snake, like a temperature blanket, but I don't want to do a snake. But I was like, oh my god, everybody asks me constantly, are you going to do a temperature blanket? Because everybody does these temperature blankets. I don't want to do a temperature blanket. That doesn't sound like fun to me, but a reading blanket does. So, I'm going to pick out yarn today, and I went on my Storygraph account, and I looked at the genres that I most read last year, and I created a list. So I've got a list of all the genres. What did I just knock down? I don't know what that noise was. I've got a list of all the genres that I read last year, or the genres I was most likely to read last year. I took a couple things and kind of mashed them together. Like, I don't need a separate YA and middle grade, because within YA and middle grade you also have fantasy, historical fiction, etc., etc., and I'd rather just lump them all together like that. So I picked my top ones. My dogs are going to be crazy now. I have 18 here, which means I need 18 colors. And the key is I want to pick 18 colors that I'm actually going to want to have on my couch at the end of the year. The other thing I need to do is I need to do a little math. I need to figure out what size needles I'm going to use and figure out my gauge so that I can determine if I need 2 rows per book. I read 103 books last year. I think it was 102, 103 books last year. I imagine I'll read around 100 as the same 100, or I imagine I will also read around 100 books this year. So depending on how many I cast on, I just need to do some math and figure out how many I need to initially cast on and which, how many rows I'm going to do for each book. Am I just going to do a single row? But like I said, I want to make sure it's colors that I'm going to like to have on my couch. Colors that's going to look nice at the end of the year and look like it fits our living space. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to go through all this yarn. So I had set aside these yarns in this bag. This yarn in this bag because I was going to do a Doctor Who scarf, and I still am going to do a Doctor Who scarf, but I'm definitely missing a few colors. So I'm not going to start that yet. I still want to do I want to do specifically the Osgood Doctor Who scarf that she wears, because like I said in a different video, I'm working on embroidering question marks onto a white button-up shirt. So eventually I'll do that, but in the meantime, I want to figure out which of these colors I can handle for this project. So which colors I want on my couch forever. So this bag I'm actually going to set aside because this bag is all fingering weight acrylic and like baby yarns. So I know it's not going to be those. And this bag is all super chunky, like super chunky stuff. I'm not going to use those obviously for this project. This project is going to be all acrylics. And this bag, that's my current sweaters or my upcoming sweater projects. Okay, so I need 18 different colors. Oh, I need my hole punch. I'm going to hole punch so I can put a sample of each color. Okay, so I used my heart-shaped hole punch. Alright, so I've got all those hole punched. So I need 18 colors. I really have to decide like what direction I even want to go in. Do I just want to do browns and orange? This feels like such a big decision because it's going to be a big blanket. I'm going to work on it for a year, and I anticipate it being on my couch for a very long time after that. Maybe I need to check with my wife because she kind of does the decorating. I'm going to check with her. Okay, so we have a placemat in our kitchen that she wants me to try to match. I'm going to go grab it. Okay, so this is the placemat she wants me to match. We've had these placemats for like a million years, and we just both love the colors of them. At one point, I was actually using these as backgrounds when I was doing how-to videos on here, so you've probably actually seen it before. But it's got this really unique little red. I think I can do this. I think I can get 18 colors out of this. Or maybe I need to mash together a couple more categories. Actually, you know what? I don't need contemporary because I've got literary. Okay, I'm going to take off a couple more categories. I'm going to take off contemporary. Nonfiction, drama, poetry, politics, feminism, magical realism, horror, classics. Horror is not likely, but maybe I'll read some horror. I read a couple last year. Fantasy, science fiction, historical, romance, mystery, LGBTQIA. I think I'm going to take that category off because a lot of times the LGBTQIA books that I read are in one of these other categories. Like last year I read Nirvana is Here. That was also literary fiction. I read The House on the Cerulean Sea. That was also kind of a science. I don't even know what that is. What is The House on the Cerulean Sea? Fantasy, I guess? Okay, yeah. I'm going to take LGBTQIA off. I'm going to leave. Do I want graphic novel to have its own category? Or do those also fall into other categories? I think I'm going to take graphic novel off too, because like I just read The Graveyard Book, and that definitely falls into fantasy, and I read that as a graphic novel. And now I'm reading the graphic novel of Emma, which is a classic. Yeah, I'm going to take graphic novel off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I love 13. Let's go with that. 13 colors. Okay, so we have fantasy, science fiction, historical, romance, mystery, memoir / biography, literary, classics, horror, magical realism, poetry, drama, and nonfiction. And we're aiming for these colors. Okay, so I've got this yellow. I feel like this definitely is in here, like right underneath where it says Imagine there. I'm definitely going to need that one. This green is the same. I feel like this maroon would be good for the little accent flowers in there. Like that. Yeah, those are good for that. Okay, so I've got 3. A light brown and a dark brown, 4, 5. I need more of these greens though, and I'm kind of low on greens lately, I've noticed. So let's set this up here. Okay, let's see. Might have to dig. She said leave out the beige, but because our couch is beige, but I'm actually gonna include a beige, and I'm gonna use it for a category that I don't read as much of. Like this will be maybe poetry or something. I wish this orange fit just because I really want a reason to use it. It's $1.33. So this is a Red Heart sparkling. I wonder when this was actually made. It was given to me from a collection of yarn that somebody had like in an attic somewhere. It doesn't have any sort of date on it. I'm just really curious because that label is old. But it's a sparkly orange. Look at that. And it says it's 60% Orlon acrylic and 40% nylon. I don't know why we're specifying the kind of acrylic. Non-allergenic, moth-proof from Stamford, Connecticut. But yeah, it originally cost $1.33. I just really need a reason to use this sparkly orange, but this is not the reason. Okay. I'm gonna dig. I wonder if this blue is a good one. Yeah, this is definitely. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Okay. How many do we have here? I've already lost count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And what did I say? 13. Okay, we're more than halfway there. I really need more greens though. I just feel like I am desperately low on green yarn. She did say I could raid her yarn upstairs in her studio if I need to, so. Oh, this brown sparkly. I've been looking for an excuse to use that. It's the softest stuff ever. I really wanted to, I have 2 skeins of this and I really wanted to do some sort of scarf with it, but I might have to sacrifice it for this. We'll see. I'm gonna lay them all out on the floor after and maybe pull out more than 13 so that I can pick and choose. I've got just a little bit of this one, but which is the right shade. I think I have 2 balls. Yeah, I have 2 balls of that. I could do that one as long as I use it on, as long as I assign it a category I don't use as much, or I don't read as much. Like whatever I have the most of has to be fantasy, and then whatever I have second most of has to be historical fiction, because those are my top categories every year. And what is this yarn? Oh no, that's New Zealand wool. No, I don't want it. I want it to be acrylic. I want it to be acrylic because I'm going to use it to cover my couch when my dogs sit on the couch. So I don't want to use like fancy wool because it's going to need to be washed a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. How did I do that? Okay, so I've got 13 colors to start with, and I feel like it's a pretty good representation of this. Yeah, that's a pretty good match considering I just pulled it out of what I already had. Now, I need to first assign colors, and the things I have the most of are gonna have to be the colors I want to see the most, and I think I'm actually gonna do this for fantasy. No, I'm gonna do this color for historical, I think. I'm just gonna lay them out in order. So I think I'm gonna do this green for fantasy. Sorry, the beeping is my dishwasher, if you can hear that. Okay. I'm going to use these size 9s because they're the only ones that are not currently attached to a project. Oh, you're crooked. That's better. I'm going to put them on slightly bigger cord though, because I've got them on this little tiny cord. I love wearing hand warmers when I'm knitting because my hands get cold, but then like also my needles get stuck in them. A lot. Okay. That cord's also not going to be long enough, but I'm going to have to wait till I finish a sweater. I'm just going to have to like cram it onto this cord until I finish one of the sweaters I'm working on. Because I don't have another long cord. It is what it is. This is what you get for being a polygamous knitter. Okay, so I'm going to go with size 9s, and I have to figure out now what genre the first 5 books I've read were. I think okay, the first book I finished this year was Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match, which I'm going to call fantasy. It's historical romance. It's fantasy historical romance, which is kind of seems to be my sweet spot lately with books. But we're going to go with fantasy. We're going to go with fantasy first. Yeah, I'm going to call that one fantasy. So my cast on color is going to be this green. And I just pulled its sleeve off, but it's going to be this green. And I just realized I am going to do 2 rows per book because I'm going to do it in like a garter stitch. And I want the color to show on both sides. I don't want it to be like weird. So yeah, I'm going to do 2. So I'm going to cast on 90 stitches and see what comes out. Maybe I'm not making it for my couch. Maybe I'm making it for a chair. We'll see in the end. All right, I'm gonna cast on and do some knitting and do some work at the same time. And I'll check back in later. Okay, so I cast on 100 and then that didn't feel like enough. It kind of looked smaller to me than what I like. I like a little lap blanket. Like I like having a little lap blanket on my couch. I always have a couple there. So I cast on 100 and then I increased. I ended up casting on 120. Crap. 120 or 125. I don't know. But there's my rows for the first book that I finished in 2023, which was Angelica Frankenstein makes her match, and I'm calling that one fantasy. This is gonna take some kind of guessing here and there with the genres, I think. The next book I finished in 2023 was The Fiery Cross by Diana Gabaldon, which is in the Outlander series. It's like fantasy, historical, romance, all three in those books. But I think The Fiery Cross particularly, and the one that I'm reading right now by her, are more historical than anything else. So I'm gonna go with historical for those. So what is my historical color? It's the blue. So that is this blue. I'm gonna add 2 rows for The Fiery Cross. And then I've got An Offer from a Gentleman, which is I'm gonna call those romance. Those are the Bridgerton novels. Definitely gonna call those romance. I feel like there are a lot of things, like the rest of these, like literally all the books I've read so far this year have multiple genres, and it's historical romance, probably fantasy, that one less, but An Offer from a Gentleman, I'm gonna go romance. And then I've got the Graveyard Book graphic novel that I read. I'm gonna go fantasy for that one too. So what I'm gonna do actually is I kind of knit from the yarn puke that I cut off. I'm gonna keep that attached and just run it down the side while I add these rows for The Fiery Cross and An Offer from a Gentleman, and then use that to do the Graveyard Book. That way I have fewer ends to tie in. Okay, so I think the colors pretty well match the placemat that my spouse wanted us to match. So that I think will be really cool. I'm gonna use my books I read to track when I've added them to my blanket, and I guess I'm just gonna do like a little star somewhere just to show that I've already done that one. So just right there. That way I know which stripes I've already done, because I feel like once I get to 100, it's gonna be a little hard. Okay, so I have my first 4 rows of my blanket. And yeah, I'll keep posting on Instagram and stuff as the year progresses. So follow me over there, and keep an eye out here, and you know, this will be, I don't know, it'll be interesting.